started. Okay. So I wanted to get started asking about the development of the documentary and what really inspired you to make the film and what that process was like of getting the project started.
Sure, absolutely.
hmm Okay, so like when did you first maybe come up with the idea to make the film and how did that process get started and really developing and what was that process just like of getting the project going overall?
Yeah, it this project started in um, the initial seed of this. Well, Van and Lance and I had collaborated on two prior projects before the 2016 election, and so we've been working together for several years. And when the 2016 election happened, we sat down with Van, and Van basically told us that he planned to spend the next 4 years of the Trump administration doing everything he could to work across the aisle on criminal justice reform, on addiction. And we as documentary filmmakers felt that, you know, having a progressive activist who was going to take the step of engaging with conservatives, with the Trump administration on some of these issues, that would be a really important story to document. And so we had a really honest conversation with Van in 2016 and just said, we'd really like to be there and try to capture what this journey of bipartisanship looks like during the Trump era. And that, conversation over a cup of coffee started a 5-year journey of following this story.
And once you decided to make the film and it got started, what was your experience like also of just directing the film and your general approach to directing the film overall?
Yeah, so the way I like to direct films is that, I start with a question. This film was not made trying to make a specific point or advocate for something. It was made with an observational cinema verite approach where I was trying to really document and see the complexities of what does bipartisanship look like, and how can I follow this one activist, Van Jones, and his team as they attempt to do it. So my process was really to build really close relationships with Van, with his team, with people, activists and people that disagreed with Van's strategies, that were on different sides of the aisle, conservative, liberal, and really try to capture an authentic portrait of what Van and his team were trying to do and the other points of view, in relation to that. So it was a long journey of just building close relationships, being constantly present with and without the camera. This is not a scripted film. This is not a film where there was interviews recalling the past. We were there in the moment, as people will see it, in the film. So that's like a overview of the process.
Overall, I wanted to also ask about maybe doing any research for the film or if there was anything that you knew from your background that helped make the project and tell the story and just what was that experience like also of really getting more details and information about the subject as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of research, a lot of, um, I'm not, as a filmmaker, I'm not an expert on criminal justice reform. I'm not an expert on issues around the opioid epidemic or the crack cocaine epidemic. So I had to learn a lot about these issues because this is what Van and his team were trying to tackle. Every person we're filming with, I try to read as much as I can, see the the things they've written, the areas where they've spoken on these different issues. So I'm trying to be as well versed as I can. So it took a lot of research as far as just like online research, but then also relationship building, like spending a lot of time with people without the camera, trying to learn about their work, trying to make sure that I'm not representing them in a one-dimensional way, but really understanding their point of view.
And also, you mentioned earlier about being in the moment and filming and really maybe following certain people as the events unfolded and not really focusing too much on interviews, but really being in the moment and showcasing what was happening while it was occurring. And what was that process like of also really deciding and figuring out who you wanted to follow and really feature in the film and that experience on that side as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the I see my role as, you know, Van and his team were attempting something very, very difficult and challenging. And my role was that I was bearing witness to that work and to that attempt at making change in the country. And I saw my role as really trying to be present with the camera, to be unobtrusive. My number one rule was they're trying to pass a bill that's going to get thousands of people out of prison. I do not want to get in the way. I don't want cameras to cause an interruption in the work, but I do want to document what this work looks like, where it succeeds, where it falls short. It was really important for us. Van and I worked together a lot to build a level of trust where on some of the hardest days, days where, Van did an interview with Jared Kushner and then was being attacked on social media and was really low, build a relationship where I could call him up and say, look, first of all, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? And then second of all, can I come over? Can I capture some of how you're navigating this moment? Because I want to be able to document how hard and what the real challenges are of working across the aisle in this climate. And the hope is that the film, what results is a really honest portrayal of, the successes, but also the perils of trying to work across the aisle, so that the country, the hope is that the public can engage with the film and have a conversation around, where is bridge building possible? Why isn't it possible? Let's look at this one specific example, this one moment in time, and try to learn from, what Van and his team went through.
And also, I wanted to ask about getting to work with Lance and producing together and what that collaboration was like and really working together to bring the film into fruition and really collaborating together as well in that respect.
Yeah, I am very lucky. I get to work in partnership with the person I love and trust the most in this world. So my brother Lance is the producer in the film. I would say formally we've been working together for 10 years, but in reality, we've been working together for over 30 years since we were, making films together as kids. Lance is a very creative and innovative producer, and this film took really creative, innovative, bold producing. We had to get access to the Trump White House, to senators, congresspeople, really difficult and challenging environments that took a very heavy amount of producing. We had to raise resources. We had to, it's a very high profile film, high profile subject. Now, we're in the Tribeca Film Festival. So, just navigating the release. So, I've been working with my brother for my entire life. I trust him. We have a really close shorthand. We have the same ethics and values because we were raised by the same parents. And so it's one of the most rewarding parts of filmmaking for me is that collaboration and partnership.
And also, what was the experience like of working with your cinematographer as well and really figuring out how you wanted to visually shoot the film as well?
Yeah, Emily Topper is the director of photography on the film, and she is a brilliant, brilliant cinematographer. Emily really excels in understanding how to enter really high intensity, volatile environments, be very unobtrusive, but also get close and intimate so she can capture what's most important. So she's really an expert in cinema verite cinematography, really capturing beautiful cinematic images, but doing it in a way where she knows her number one goal is never to to try to cause as little interference in the drama unfolding. She also just is amazing at constantly rolling. It's not the kind of thing where you push record for 15 minutes, the scene is done, you go. Emily is in there, she's just rolling and rolling and rolling. And at the end of the day, we had 400 hours of footage for an 86-minute film, which is a lot. But those beautiful and sort of golden moments that were captured are a result of her sort of fortitude and just being present and rolling and being there with the camera constantly, so much that the people in the film kind of forgot that it was there a lot of the time, not because we were hiding, but just because we were there all the time.
Mm-hmm. And also, what was the process like you mentioned, having about 400 hours of footage and really editing it down and really figuring out what you wanted the final storyline to be in the film as well?
Yeah, it was a very difficult edit. It took 2 years. It took an incredible team of 4 editors and a co-editor and amazing consulting editors working with me on it. So I had like the best team in the world editing this film. But it was a really challenging process. You start by going through the 400 hours and you start to really watch the raw material, and the editors sort of would assess, what is actually here? What is the story in Brandon's head? What does Brandon think the story is? But what was actually filmed? And there's always a creative negotiation between what I think is there and what actually is there. And at the end of the day, there's about 1,000 different stories you can tell. And, it's a process of really understanding within Van's journey and his team's journey, what is the one singular story that needs to be told, and figuring out how to like really take 400 hours and multiple story threads and multiple supporting characters and really just deciding this is the one thing this movie is about, and everything needs to exist in service of that one, what we call the clothesline, like one sort of spine of the film. It's an extremely challenging process. And last thing I'll just say is what we determined is, the three aspects that were most important were Van's work on this criminal justice reform bill with the Trump administration, engaging with the Trump administration, Van trying to bring conservatives and liberals together on the issue of addiction, and his own personal journey as a bridge builder and as a person, dealing with the loss of his mother. So the hardest part of the edit became the intersection of his political work, his grassroots work, and his personal life. And that's what took 2 years to put this into one film.
And also, like you mentioned earlier, with the film premiering at Tribeca and going on to AFI Docs, and what's that experience been like of having the movie premiere at the festivals and getting to share it with audiences as well overall?
Yeah, well, they haven't premiered yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's June 3rd right now, and June 10th they'll be premiering. It'll be premiering at Tribeca, and then soon thereafter at AFI Docs. We literally just finished the film last week, so I was in the sound mix last week, doing the final live score to picture and everything. And it's been a 5-year journey. It's been a really long process, and to be at this point, to be able to share the film at one of the most renowned festivals for independent film in the country, Tribeca, to be able to share the film at AFI Docs, which is our hometown festival. I live in DC. I was raised in this area. And it's the festival that I learned to love documentary. It's a huge honor. And really, this is, you work for 5 years for this moment to be able to finally have this story interact with an audience. So I'm thrilled to be here.
And overall, what do you hope that audiences can really take away from the film after watching it? And what's that experience like of being able to connect with, during the festivals coming up, to connect with audiences and really talk about the film and the subject overall as well?
Yeah, my hope for the film is that our country is in a really dangerous spiral heading toward even more and more and more division. And it is a problem we need to solve. I am not saying Van Jones and exactly what Van's team did is the exact solution, but I do think there is a lot to learn from what Van and his team did. Thousands of people have been released from prison. There's a lot to learn from the people that disagreed with Van as well. And my hope for the film is that it can be a space where people from all different sides of the political aisle can watch this story, and then the lights turn on, have a conversation around where is bridge building possible? Why is it not possible? And let's try to figure out how we can come together on some of these issues, because if we continue in the direction we're headed, it's a really dangerous thing. Your other question just about, what was it? Sorry, what was the other question? The last question was?
Just what like what audience could take away, what can learn from it, and really maybe bringing the country together and that experience, and really maybe teaching people more information about the subject as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my hope is that the film can be a space to figure out, not just with criminal justice reform and addiction, but also climate change, gun control, like all these issues require, no matter who is in the White House, the country is divided, the power balances shift back and forth. I feel like this story is one of the few rare moments where people actually cross the aisle to work together on these issues. And my hope and prayer is that, you know, this story can lead to more opportunities to work across the aisle. And I'm thrilled to be able to share it with audiences digitally at Tribeca, and at AFI Docs, we'll have an in-person screening. So I'll actually be able to be in a theater with my friends, crew, audiences, and be able to actually interact with people and see how audiences respond to the film, answer questions, talk about it. Could not be more excited to be at this point.
Okay, I think that was mainly it, but thank you again for taking the time, and I appreciate it.
Karen, thank you so much. I really appreciate
You're
you
welcome.
having me on your program.
You're welcome. Thank you again.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.